Hello, everyone. It is Jonathan, SAP Principal Recruitment Consultant from Cavendish Professionals. And today, at our newest technology episode, I'm hosting a very, very special guest, Mr. Dante Sampaio. Dante is a technology specialist with a bachelor degree in economics and a specialization in business management. And nonetheless, he's a SAP sales and distribution specialist. So, Dante, welcome to the episode.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Pleasure to be here
My
and
pleasure as
honored
well.
for for this invitation. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Dante. And I was wondering if you can please give us a little introduction about yourself, talk us, who you are, a little bit about you. That would be absolutely great for us, please.
Of course, let's go from there. So, pleasure, everybody that's watching and listening in. My name is Dante Morelli Sampaio. I I was born and raised in Brazil until the age of 9. And in 1998, my dad accepted an offer where he assumed a project manager position for Eli Lilly. So for the next 14 years, I lived abroad. So outside of Brazil, I lived a total of 7 years in Puerto Rico, 2.5 years in Madrid, Spain, and uh, and 4.5 years in Indiana, United States, where I got my economics degree from Purdue University. And as soon as I graduated in December of 2011, shortly after that, I moved back to Brazil,
Hmm.
to São Paulo specifically. And now, just recently, I have moved here to Madrid, Spain, with my wife,
Okay.
and which is a new episode of our lives. That's a little quick, short summary of where I am
Okay.
today.
Okay. Thank you, Dante. I think is relevant, definitely relevant for us and for the SAP specialists because we know that SAP is a global technology in the sense that a lot of people
Exactly.
goes from overseas to Europe,
Yeah.
from Europe to overseas. So it's definitely relevant to have a little overview in terms of relocation, transitioning from country to country. In fact, I wanted to ask you if you can please share with us your overall experience in transitioning from Brazil to Spain, and also what were the biggest challenges that you had to overcome.
Great. That's a great question. Um, there was a lot of preparation involved. So first of all, what made it easier? Obviously, I'm an Italian descendant. So recently, I
Hmm.
had obtained my Italian passport, which opened up this opportunity to simply just decide, hey, I just want to move to Europe. And then my wife and I decided on Madrid. So this transition was totally independent. So this is a decision by like a family decision. My wife and I decided on this. So I was not how can I say this? I was not an expat. Like the company didn't transfer me to Madrid, so I had to do everything on my own. I continued working on my previous employer remotely as I had been for the past almost 4 years. So I just told them, "Hey, I have a desire. I have this goal to move to Spain, and I would love to continue working for you remotely." And that was a good news that they accepted, and they were fine with this decision as long as I honored with my responsibilities. So and that was fine. That was a really happy moment for me. That was like, wow, that's it's awesome to see that kind of flexibility, that kind of new ways of working and new ways of thinking, which really helped me with this transition, right?
Hmm.
And well, getting here was the easy part. The hard part is finding an apartment. That's
Yeah.
really tough. The market nowadays is really heated. So there's a lot of competition, and specifically here in Spain, and I can see this in other countries as well. They they don't have so much confidence when they have a foreigner with a foreign contract. So
Yeah.
that's a little tougher for them to trust you and like, here's my apartment, right? So that was a little tougher. The options were slim. Like I had very few options of people that were willing to the to rent the apartment for us. But luckily we found one. We got all the documents. I needed to get, apart from being Italian, I still needed to be a legal resident here in Spain. So I needed to
Yeah.
go after all the paperwork and documents. And my wife is doing the same thing. I'm done and she's almost done with her documents. So soon enough she'll be able to work as well. Having all
Mm-hmm.
the She's Brazilian, but she'll have all the rights as an European citizen very soon. So that's good. And now, most recently, almost exactly 2 months ago, I have switched positions into a company here in Spain, which is headquartered here in Spain, working obviously with SAP SD, also Salesforce. So that's also something very new. So this is the total new chapter of our lives with the new country, new job, and new everything really. So it's been tough, but it's been
Mm-hmm.
very enjoyable. We're enjoying the ride as well.
Okay, that's great. That's great, Dante. And I also know that obviously a very crucial part is the language proficiency in order to transition from a country to a country. I know that you came from Brazil, which is a Portuguese speaking country, to Spain, which obviously they speak Spanish. And I was wondering with you, so if you find any certification or specific language courses particularly beneficial. But I also know that you've been living abroad. So, I mean, you've been also
Yeah.
easy. It was easier
Mhm.
in some way for you. But please talk to me about that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a crucial point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's communication. That's how you're going to get around. That's how you're going to order your food. It's how you're going to do the bureaucracy with the paperwork and all of this, and to understand the regulations. So
Yeah.
luckily, I didn't have trouble with it since uh, I speak Spanish from the age of 9, 10, right? So that was something that my part was I had this blessing, right, of speaking Spanish, speaking English, with which also opens lots of doors professionally here in Spain. So that was key for us to have a smooth transition. So we didn't have any trouble, like um, not understanding certain things, or or doing things over document wise. We were assertive. We researched, we talked to a lot of people. Obviously, in some occasions, probably we didn't have to do this, but we did it anyways because we thought it was right. Okay, that's fine. But when you don't have the language, it's very difficult for you to, um, how can I say this, kind of join the culture, and kind of feel, how can I, it's um, I've like to adapt, right? So
Yeah.
if you can't communicate, if you don't understand the other person, or the other person understand you, it's very hard for you to blend in, like, or to just be another person in the Spanish community, not only
Mm-hmm.
Spanish but anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
That definitely is something that was crucial for our success here. And I definitely recommend any of our listeners and viewers that if they're thinking about, oh, is it worth it to study another language, Spanish, English, or whichever language it might be, it definitely is. Because my differential and my key strengths are my languages. So I can speak English, Spanish, and Portuguese, and those are the things that have opened so many doors for me, and especially with SAP, which I
Yeah.
can talk a little bit more about very soon. How I got into SAP, and it was basically because of the languages.
Mm-hmm. Well, on this point, in fact, I strongly suggest to anybody, especially coming from non-speaking English countries, to take them in parallel. So you start studying SAP, you need to study English in the meantime. Yeah, because you can work on project even remotely from all the companies abroad, etc. So that's very, very important, and I appreciate the fact that you're stressing this. And but
Absolutely.
yeah, Dante, this is an SAP podcast, and finally we are getting in.
Yes.
I know that you are a SAP sales and distribution specialist, and I just wanted to, investigate with you the specificity of this module. The reason you decided to dive in the
Mm-hmm.
SD module instead of every other modules, because we know SAP
Okay.
is huge. And what are
Sure.
the aspect that fascinates you the most, please?
Yes, excellent question. So how uh, I would like to start answering this question on how
Mm-hmm.
I jumped into SAP
Mm-hmm.
in a more, how can I say, professional level. How did I make the decision? Hey, I want to specialize in SAP. I want to be a consultant. I want to be a functional consultant. So in my career path, I started working for Procter and Gamble for a short period of time in purchasing. So
Mm-hmm.
I got to see a little bit of MM module. Shortly after that, I worked for Dow Chemical, where I worked in the financial department. So I participated in the transition from R2 to R3 at that time. And so I got to see a lot of the FI module. So you see, I started with other modules, right? But at one point in my life, professionally, I can open my heart and say and be honest with you guys that I wasn't in my best phase. I wasn't
Mm.
like, I had some great positions, great companies, and then I switched and went did some other things, and I started working by myself, and I really wanted to explore what I liked, what I wanted to do. So, and I did a lots of different things. So, purchasing, financial, market intelligence. I had my own business and sales. And then at one point, I wasn't doing really well, and a great friend and another SAP consultant, a super senior. He's an expert, like I say, he has almost 20 years experience. He looked at me. He's like, "Hey, man, I know you're not doing really well, but I know you use SAP for a long time. You're a key user. You speak English. You speak Spanish. I mean, what are you waiting for? You got everything in hands for you to study and become a consultant." And I started to think, well, why not? And he was specialized in SD. And myself, I had always a passion for sales. I love sales. It's something that I think it's something either you like it or you hate it. There's
Yeah,
no
it's
it's hard
so
to
it's
be in
so true.
between. It's hard to be in between. Either you enjoy it or you don't. And for having my passion for cars, and I always helped my parents buying and selling cars. So I was very I was a good seller. Like I would put up like an ad and I would sell it. So sales has always been in my life, and I always really enjoyed it. And another key factor that made me decide on investing in SD, right, to doing the course, the academy on SD, was because I had a thought. I reflected. I'm like, what company does not need to sell or to invoice? So that's one of the reasons I was like, I think we'll always have to sell. We need an invoice. We need to make money. Like so SD module is in every single company. Not every single company will have the quality module.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have physical products. They don't need to inspect quality. Not saying that quality is a bad module. Never. Like why? Because in the end of the day, all modules integrate with each other. It has to do more with preference and what you enjoy and what makes sense with your career path, right? Maybe my past experiences taught me like, hey, SD is what I like to do. It integrates with FI, which I already had experience in the past as well. So I thought it went hand in hand, and I don't regret it one day in my life. I thank God every day for allowing me to take this opportunity, to take this decision, to choosing SD. It's the one that really fulfills me, and it's actually SAP in general really fulfills me because we see such a high demand on uh, on on talent and people and good consultants because basically it's the essence, it's the structure of the business. So the business will have their own each individual objectives, but they all need a system to work on and operate. And if you don't have a reliable system, and if you don't have professionals that are trained to use that system to its full potential, you're missing out on opportunities. So that's what fascinates about SD, because it's I get the world from entering the sales order. So putting a sales order, determining prices, determining if there's a transport or anything else, and then invoicing. So that is, let's say, our lifetime. Let's and obviously before sales order we can have quotes and other things, but essentially that's SD. But before we have other steps, if you're a manufacturer, if you buy it from a third party, you have to also integrate with MM module, and after invoicing, you also integrate with FI module. So um, I think it's a core module in my view. So that's why I chose it,
Hmm.
and I don't regret it at all. I really feel that I want to each day get more and more specialized in SD, and also the modules that integrate with SD.
Great, Dante. Your passion is very motivating. Actually, I mean, I can feel it.
Oh,
Um,
cool. I appreciate it. Mhm.
and I wanted to ask you. I mean, in the especially in the Spanish market, since you're there, but also globally, can you please explain to us what are the most sought after SD skills needed? Let's say.
Yes, yes. So I have seen a tendency to uh, the SD skills that are most sought after currently, definitely an advanced pricing
Hmm.
skill. So nowadays, how the markets are so dynamic, we like some markets work with extremely complex pricing procedures.
Hmm.
So if you're consultants that can dominate these skills, that's definitely this thumbs up for that professional, and he'll be how can I say this? He'll differentiate from the other consultants if he has some kind of specialties in pricing and rebate management, so or contract management, because for example, oh, let's say I need I need to expend I need more sales, so I need more marketing, I need more incentives. So inside SAP we have contracts. We can put in a rebate for specific clients. Hey, every time you purchase this product and over whatever quantity, I'm going to make a provision of 5%, and then quarterly I'll pay you that provision. So I'll give you back money, right? Um, so all these features, they're there for us to use, right? In standard, and lots of companies take advantage of those, and others even make customized versions of those. And they're definitely very they can be very complex at some points, um, especially when we talk about not only pricing and rebates, when we talk about integrations. When we talk about integrations, things can get a little more complicated depending on the type of operation. But these, I say, in my view,
Hmm.
pricing, rebates, contract management,
Hmm.
obviously invoicing. Invoicing is key, right? Some um, countries require electronic invoicing to integrate with the governments in order for them to
Exactly.
validate
In
everything.
I wanted to tell you, in fact, in regards of electronic invoicing, I mean, we know that is becoming increasingly prevalent. And I wanted to ask you how this trend is impacting the SD processes. If you can give us some key consideration for business adopting this kind of electronic invoicing system, please.
Yes, definitely. Well, electronic invoicing is a tendency, and it's we can I can we can say we can safely say that we're not going back. to not
Okay. Yeah.
having it. So it's going to be mandatory, yes or yes. Many countries are shifting. Some already have 100% electronic invoicing. Spain is a country that's still not 100% electronic
Mm-hmm.
invoicing, but it has started. Has many B2B operations with required electronic invoicing. If I'm not mistaken, government as well needs any government provider also needs also electronic invoicing. Apologies, I'm not still an expert on Spanish market since it's been 2 months, but electronic invoicing is key, and it's something that you don't want to have issues in production. It's something you want to stress test as most as you can. It's something that you're like, okay, I've tested an invoice with one product, with two products, with three, with five, four. Okay, excellent. Now with 20, with 50, you want to test as many variations as possible because you do not want to, have your go live, you're in production, and when you want to see that invoice be cleared by the government and you see it rejected, you're like, oh, that and when you're in production, you can't stop sales.
Yeah.
That's like the good and bad part about sales. It's like everybody needs it, but at the same time, if you stop my operation because of invoicing, the pressure is on. The pressure is on for you to mobilize the teams, figure out what's happening, what's wrong, in order to get it fixed right away, because you can stop the whole operation of a company due to
Yeah.
the integration with electronic invoicing.
Yeah, and in Europe is taking over, step by step. A lot of countries are using it. So yeah, I strongly suggest our listeners to have a look on electronic invoicings if they haven't. And Dante, another very important part to mention in this sense, I think, is the EDI. Obviously, in the
Definitely.
realm of SD, I think this is very important. And I was wondering if you can please tell us, what are the benefits of the business using EDI, and what is EDI
Hmm.
as well?
Excellent, excellent. So EDI, basically our communications, right, is basically automatizing our communications with iDocs, what we call iDocs, right? I don't remember from the top of my head the meaning of the acronym EDI, electronic document
Data
interface.
interchange.
Interchange. There you
Yeah,
go. Electronic document interchange. Thank you, Jonathan.
data.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's key not only in SD but in other modules as well. All right. But I'm going to talk about SD.
Mm-hmm.
How do we use EDI? Well, we can use EDI from the beginning of a process all the way to the middle and the end. So basically is how we connect or how we communicate with external systems. So let's say in the beginning of the SD process, I need to create a sales order, or I need to create a quote or a pre-quote. Let's stick with the sales order. In my past employer, we had lots of interfaces with customers, direct interfaces. So our key clients, our key customers, the key accounts, their system directly connected with our SAP.
Mm-hmm.
So what they would do, okay, so I need 1,000 boxes of this product, 1,500 boxes of this product, and 3,000 boxes of this product. They will input that into their system and click send, and I automatically receive it into my system. And right away, I would start working on his order, separating the order, doing the picking, doing the transport, and that's it. So I didn't need somebody physically to input that order. So already saving me time and money, and also efficiency, because at the end of the day, we gain a lot of efficiency, and we're not doing manual work. For example, oh, I received a PDF in my email. Now I'm going to get this email and I'm going to write out or I'm going to manually type in the order. So the best is to try to avoid manual work. Another phase where EDI comes into play and extremely useful and can be very complex is for 3PLs.
Mm.
So let's say I have an external warehouse manager. I have another company that will oversee my stock, and when I have an order, sales order, I need to tell that third party company, hey, I have a sales order with 1,000 boxes of product X, and he needs to know exactly which product, which how can I say this? Specifically, which I was trying to remember a word in English and I forgot. It's lote. Which batch? There you go. Which batch he needs to get from, and the communication is not just one way. It needs to go back and forth several times because he's gonna get a scanner. He's gonna beep the product. He's gonna do the picking, and then he's gonna move it to another storage location. He's going to do some things. So the communication is back and forth in the EDR, and all of this is done by iDocs, and it's all automatic between both systems, right? But it could be a little complex to implement and to maintain. But it's definitely something that is a key, also knowledge for people that want to get into SAP and SD specifically or other modules. If you can dominate EDI connections, you're pretty set. It's not easy, but it's
Mhm.
definitely a lot of demand for that type of knowledge.
Absolutely. And the benefits of EDI are pretty clear, especially after your discussion. I mean, they can improve business cycle speed, they can increase business efficiency, they can enhance
Exactly.
that transaction security as well. So, very
Exactly.
important technology to know. Absolutely. And
Exactly.
Dante, on the top of this, I know that many companies are utilizing, on the top of SAP, they're utilizing Salesforce as well, and they integrate them together. And so,
hmm
if you can please tell us, the importance of the integration of those platforms, and how, in order to make the SD module more efficient, please.
Excellent. Excellent. Excellent point, Jonathan. So Salesforce. And I'm going to tell you my quick story about Salesforce. So
Please.
I until my previous employer, not my actual employer, until my previous employer, I had never worked with Salesforce before.
Mm.
I had worked with SAP, but in my previous employer, it was my first time seeing Salesforce. But I thought it was extremely interesting, and I was lucky enough to be invited to participate in lots of projects involving Salesforce and direct interfaces with SD. So I started to learn about Salesforce. I started to see all the possibilities and the whole world that is Salesforce, and I was amazed. And we see that it's a tool that is obviously growing a lot.
A lot, yeah.
You can see how they're constantly improving the tool and constantly giving you more features. So let's just go straight into it and try to talk about what are the basic features of Salesforce, right? Or when we're talking about specifically SD module. So in Salesforce, for example, a practical example in my previous employer, for the not key accounts, for the customers that don't have EDI connections,
Mm.
they had sales executives that would go visit the clients, get their order, and they would input their order into Salesforce. So now he would not need to go into SAP to input this order. What happens is the order in Salesforce, or let me put it this way. First of all, Salesforce is a little more, or maybe a lot, depending on the point of view, a lot more user friendly, right? For maybe people who are not from tech world, it's a lot more user friendly. It looks like a brow. It's used in a browser, and you can. It's very intuitive, right? Also, it allows you a more flexible way to have your process to operate. What do I mean by flexible? Well, in Salesforce, it's a lot easier for you to develop something custom. For let's say, okay, I'm going to create a sales order. The And first of all, because there's so many things to talk about, I'm trying to follow a
Yeah.
logical path. let's say SAP will integrate with Salesforce. Let's go back to the basics. We integrate all that is master data. So we integrate from SAP the customers, the products, the prices, the customer hierarchy, everything we need obviously always will come from SAP. But when I'm in Salesforce and I'm the executive and I negotiated a different price, how can I put a different price? Well, you can create a development that you can change the price in Salesforce, but since we obviously follow compliance, this price simply can't just be changed and nobody will see it. So inside Salesforce, we created a approval workflow that when the sales executive changes any price, this sales order before integrating with SAP will follow approval workflow in Salesforce, where it will go to my manager's manager, and depending on the sum of the discount, it can go up to the director, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if it's approved, awesome. This sales order will integrate with SAP, and nobody needed to have more manual work. Like, hey, I'm going to go into SAP, into
Exactly.
VK12, change the price. No, we did it all through a new flow in Salesforce, and that automatically integrated with SAP. So it allows us to be more efficient, more rapid in our negotiation, and it gives us more tools for our workly routine. So not only sales, but if negotiations, we can integrate provisions that as Salesforce would integrate only with FI module, creating accounting documents, and in the future, these accounting documents can create credit notes to the customer. So the possibilities are endless with
That's
Salesforce,
good.
and
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 mhm.
they're tools that come in hand in hand.
It's pretty obvious that this can increase the operational efficiency because basically you are eliminating kind of redundant tasks, especially the manual
Exactly.
data entry of because this can lead to miscommunications, mistakes, and using this integration you can just avoid them, and it's just easier process
Exactly.
for everybody, less mistakes, improved efficiency. That's just
Exactly. And as you know, um, customizing SAP, making new features in SAP is not always the cheapest. It's
hmm
always possible, right? It's always possible, but the what talk, money talks, right? So in
yeah.
Salesforce, you have from my experience,
hmm
you have more flexibility in that sense while maintaining your core system SAP or standard or the, the way you want it to stay more intact, less flexible, and then working
hmm
with a different system, implementing these different processes in order to have more flexibility and efficiency in your operation.
hmm Okay, yeah, yeah, makes a lot of sense, Dante. And talking about SAP, we cannot avoid to talk about S/4HANA, I guess. And we know that with the rise of S/4HANA, I was wondering if you have observed any change in the landscape of SD operation, and if you think that S/4HANA enhanced the transformed tradition of SD processes. So,
Hmm.
what are these main topics, let's say, in S/4HANA with SD, please?
Excellent. So, and I'm just being quite frank. I'm still
hmm
not an S4HANA specialist,
Yeah.
but it's everywhere, right? Many positions or messages I receive on LinkedIn and position are for S4HANA. So listeners, keep that in mind. S4HANA is coming to stay. Um, the SAP has postponed a little bit the mandatory in quotes mandatory migration, right? When we're gonna stop having support for ECC, but
hmm
as for
hmm
HANA came to basically make our processes more rapid, right? They putting everything in the cloud and 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 trying to optimize the SD process, making the making a little more user friendly the screens, right? The S4. Um, that's what have seen from it from S4. But it's definitely a movement that all companies yes or yes they need to do it. Some already have a long time ago have already migrated to S4. Others are in the process. Others first move their their servers to the cloud, to HANA first, to then make the transition to the S4. So it's but it's definitely that is it's happening, and it's
It's
definitely
happening.
something that all professionals in SAP need to update their knowledge and get that polish up their understanding of S4 and make sure they can be able to dominate it during the an implementation or any kind of project in that sense. But definitely, it's something that is really is growing a lot.
And I also wanted to give to our audience let's say, recruitment advice, especially to our SAP specialist. So what I mean is that I know that I've spoken with a lot of candidates, and they told me that they don't really need an S/4HANA certification because working on site, you're gonna learn more, etc. And in a certain way, I agree with that. Like the practical part, definitely you can learn more than the theoretical one, but from a recruitment perspective, your CV will stand up more with an S/4HANA certification. So I advise, because you have a lot of clients, companies, global IT consultancy, but as well as in-house companies and clients that are requiring this certification. This doesn't mean that they won't gonna hire you if you don't have it, but definitely if you have some sort of experience and you have the S/4HANA certification, this will make your CV stand on the top of the other ones. And I suggest everybody to do it, especially to have an overview on that. But if you're finding a new role with a certification, that will be just easier. That's my opinion.
Exactly.
As
Yeah,
well
Jonathan.
as as well
Hmm.
as as we said in the beginning, language certification, if you can, if you're not fluent. So if you can show the both, definitely have more chances to get your role. And Dante, I think that in this episode we have covered a lot, and I appreciate very much your time. It's been great to speak with you and have this overview on the SD planet. I hope that our audience will appreciate this. A lot of relevant and good information we have given to them, from S/4HANA to EDI, e-invoicing, relocation, languages, and so on and so forth. And I also would like to say to our audience, if you're looking for a new SAP opportunity, feel free to reach Cavendish. Feel free to reach myself, Jonathon, SAP Principal Recruitment Consultant. I will be happy to assist them. And Dante, I really hope that we can meet again soon in a next episode and just talk about SAP.
Definitely.
We love it.
Definitely,
We like
Jonathan.
it.
It's been an honor. It's been an honor. It's my first time as well participating in the podcast, so it's really exciting. And yeah, really thankful for the invitation and looking forward for the next one. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Dante. Hope to see you very soon.